Stimmler, and born in Hamburg, Altona, Germany. No, I wasn't German neither. They came from Poland, a small town near Krakow. Brzesko. They came 1908 to Germany. My father wanted to go to America and had his tickets, but when he came to Hamburg to wait for the boat, the big cantor Rosenblatt, his friend, was in Hamburg, a cousin, and he didn't let him go.
Yossele Rosenblatt, the world-famous
yes,
cousin.
And he said, no, Pinterest, you're not going. Stay here. You will see, you take your wife and children here, and that's it.
How did he know Yossele Rosenblatt?
He was befriended with him. They are from the same town. His wife was from the same town. So he didn't let him go, and he stayed there a year, and then he took his wife. My father took my mother and 5 children. They were born in Poland. Took them to Germany, and we were living there. Then later, I was born 1910,
Right.
and after me, we were 5 children born in Germany. So we were 10 children together. My father was a Baba Wachosset, and he kept it. He went always to Baba from Hamburg. He always went to the Rebbe, Yontif and so. We were very, very kept. He had a business. He made a store with menswear in Altona. Hamburg Altona is the same. The real German didn't like us too much because my father was Chassidish with a beard, you know, and the German Jews were different. But of course he only mixed with very religious people. We had a very big synagogue, a few hundred years old in Altona, and he went there to shul, and he liked it very much, and he said, oh my God, they are so modern, and they are doctors, and they line Shabbos, and he was wonderful. He liked it. But then he opened up his own. He made, with 3 men, more people came, and they opened up Besmedrash. So he was a businessman all his life. And he had his Besmedrash in Altona, Adolf Street, Adolfstraße. That I remember. We had a whole table that my children will never have. We had the shul in these years, 1910, 1920, 1930, Jewish people, Rabbunim, came from Hungary, from Czechoslovakia, from Poland. They wanted money. They couldn't go from Poland to America right away, so they came to Germany, it was cheaper. And they came to our Besmedrash, and every Friday night my father took home 3, 4 men. And we were 10 children, and we had a maid, and so it was good, it was beautiful. I went to school, like a public school, and we had Hebrew in the afternoon in Altona. My father wanted to send us to Hamburg. There were bigger schools, but they didn't let him. No, you were here in Altona. We had, our rabbi was Rabbi Dr. Lerner, I remember, and after him was Dr. Karlebach, Joseph Karlebach. He was something out of this world. You heard about him. Of course. This is a tragedy with him. Of course, 32 already. 33 he came. Nobody wanted to believe that, nobody. And all the Goyim told us that we shouldn't run away, we should wait, he cannot exist too long, because that's too much. But then it wasn't too much. In every neighborhood, yeah. 1932, we saw already the brown uniforms, yeah, 32. In 33 he came to power, and my father changed his business to, we had a very good business in wholesale, perfumes and notions and all this. And we visited, I had 6 brothers, we was 10 children, 6 brothers and 4 girls. So they went out, we had a wholesale place where we delivered stores. And all the stores knew that we were Jewish, because Shabbos they never called and so. So they always said to my brothers, 3 brothers were salesmen, they said, don't do nothing, we buy more by you. We don't want to buy by the others no more, only you. So they gave us the business and we had very good business. In the end, it was better. No, they were modern, they were musicians, and they were educated. Yeah.
Is that something that your father wanted for them, or just was the way in which things were done in Germany?
No, he knew, he was very smart. He wanted us to be modern and religious.
Can you recall, as the Nazis took hold of the country, can you recall any particular incident that you were involved with? What happened? Were you still in school at that time?
No, I was married. I married 1936. My husband was born in Krakow, and he was a Chazen and a Shochet, learned in Frankfurt, and he was in Belgium too. And then he came to Hamburg, and till Hitler came, and then he couldn't finish anymore. Shidduch.
This is a shidduch, a prearranged.
Yeah.
But it was a good shidduch.
Yeah, we have married already 55 years. Yeah.
So not a bad advertisement for.
No, absolutely not. No.
Tell us, if you can, you were married in 1936. That was the year of the Olympics.
Yes.
And it was after the Nuremberg laws were already in place. What was your chasana like? What was your wedding ceremony? Can you tell us about your wedding?
No, we lived very quietly in Hamburg, very quietly, and we didn't see any outside. The Nazis, the SS, worked already in other cities, in Frankfurt, and you know, but not in Hamburg. It was so quiet, we never knew anything.
Where was your wedding held?
In the shul. In the Altoner Shul, one of the biggest shul, and Rabbi Karlebach gave the ceremony. And then we went home. We had a very big house. We had all the rooms filled with people. When we married, we made up. We don't want to have children until we go to another place. I could go to America because I'm born in Germany, but my husband couldn't. He was born in Krakow, and the quota wasn't good for them. So we waited. No. They didn't let us in. Nobody we knew already then when we wanted to go. My brothers had papers for America, younger brothers than me, and the thing is 1938, one night, we were all sleeping. The police came. It was October 28, 1938. Suddenly they come and nobody knew. It comes always suddenly with them. And they said, pack in, you're coming to the police station. You are Polish, you have all to go to Poland. We don't want you anymore here. That was it. They took all the people, but she was 9 months old.
Who is she?
Goldie.
Your daughter?
My daughter, Goldie, was 9 months old. And my mother, me, and Goldie were in the house when they took everybody away. All the men, all my brothers. We were, 5 brothers were then dead. 1 was married already. 5 brothers.
Let me ask you, because you mentioned that half the children had been born in Poland in your family, the other half in Germany. Were only the Polish born taken away from the men, or all the men?
All the men. Even they were in Germany born, but we didn't have German passes. We didn't have nothing. The Germans never wanted us, and we didn't want to be even Germans. Polish was okay for us.
So even though you were native born, you were never a German citizen?
There is no. There are 2 lands, or few lands in Europe, Switzerland and Germany. When you are born, you are not a Swiss person.
It's not automatic?
No, not automatic. Only when we are 21 and we want to change, then it takes time. We never did.
Now these were from when you remember, were they German police? Were they in special uniforms?
No, there was a regular police from the police station. They came up. They said to my father, Mr. Stimmler, get dressed. It was 2 o'clock in the night. Get dressed and let your children, that nothing will happen to you. They just send you to the border of Poland, and that's it. So they got dressed, and they asked, can I take my tefillin? Can I take my things? Yes, you can take whatever you want, but maybe later you will get it. You come first with us, we have no time. And within 2-3 hours, they were all in the police station. But the police didn't take me or my mother. Then the policeman came into our room and said, you stay here, wait what they are doing now. At 8 o'clock in the morning, I left my child with my mother, and our maid was there too, we were 3. And I went to the police station. I wanted to know what I can bring them. I was outside. I came in, I saw my father. Thousands of people were there. And a big place.
Big square?
Yeah, a big square outside. And my father said, don't stay here, go away. Stay with Mama, stay with your child, don't come. We will tell you where we are, and that's it.
Did your father succeed, did the other men succeed in taking some belongings with them?
They had little, no, I came home and I packed warm things on in 3 valises and I schlepped them there and I gave them for the first person who came. They had some valises, but everything stayed at home, of course. And this was on a Friday morning, of course. And Friday night, on Erev Shabbos, the trains were filled with hundreds and hundreds of men, women, and children. People came up to me, they said, you mean you are going home and your husband is here and your brothers? You should be ashamed, come with them. I said, my father said I should stay home, and I stay home, and I will see. Then I helped them. When I was home, and they rode us.
Before you just go, let me ask you one other question about what happened on that day. They had thousands of local Jews in this open area outside the police station.
They gave them coffee.
Were they then marched to the train station? Were they put in trucks to get to the station?
No. Then, 1938, there were regular trains, beautiful regular trains.
So they were marched over?
Yeah, they said them, come to the station. They walked over to the stations, wasn't too far, and they put them in trains.
And they left at night?
They left it Friday night. Was Shabbos already, yes. I was looking from the side, from outside, when they went away, yeah.
So most people in your position also, even though it was Shabbos, came to look,
of course,
to see what was going on?
There was no Shabbos for us then.
Right. Did anyone try to stop people saying goodbye, or was it an orderly kind of thing? People just...
Orderly kind, they went in. Of course, it wasn't too orderly, but they all went in. And they went away. And 3-4 days later, I don't remember if I got a letter or a telephone. I knew already where they were. They were in Spongin. That was the Grenze, what do you call, the borderline. Poland.
They were in the Polish side of the German-Poland border.
Yeah, yeah.
This is a difficult question. There'll be many of them. But what did it feel like walking home from the train station?
I cried, of course. I didn't know where, when, what. But then when I had news, I packed everything. And then my brothers wrote that I should send whatever I can. The Polish people, they want to buy by them, and then money, they couldn't take any money. They looked up every person in the police station for money. You could only take 10 mark, one person. That was like today, $10. More you couldn't take. When they came there, and the Polish people, they are very not so good. They saw all the Jewish people coming from all over. They came from Berlin, from Frankfurt, from all over. They saw the water for $1, a mark, and they sold everything. So they needed money. How could they get money? So I packed everything what was new and every good thing they should sell. I packed and I sent it, and they got the packages. Then they got in touch with my father's family in Poland, and they came right away to the border, and they brought him food and everything also. They stayed there until the war broke out September 1st, 1939. They stayed there 6 months before they let them go. But then the Germans opened up one day and said, you can go back wherever you are, one only for the family, and take your belongings, make your papers, whatever it is, one day. So right away, one of my brothers,
What was his name?
Schlaume, Siegfried, he took my husband and he said to my husband, your wife and your daughter are in Belgium, in Antwerp. You come with me to Hamburg and we're gonna smuggle over to Belgium, me and you. He asked my other brothers also, the younger ones, one was 19, one was 21, 24, 27. He asked them, oh, come with me. They were afraid. They wouldn't let my father alone. They were very devoted. So they stayed. Whole area, we didn't know anything about the Kristallnacht. Nothing. My sister from Frankfurt came to us and was hiding by us. She was afraid. In Frankfurt it was terrible. They took the people away to the camps and Buchenwald and all the way. When it happened on 38, whoever was not home, they couldn't take. So they went hiding, and the next day they went wherever they could go, to Switzerland, to England. They bought visas, and even they smuggled in. That's why they went away. So my sister came to us, and for us was really heaven. It was nothing. You didn't see any Kristallnacht, nothing.
You mentioned to me off camera about a sign that your father saw in what happened in your shul, Rosh Hashanah. What happened Rosh Hashanah, Yom Kippur, 1938?
Suddenly we came in the morning on Yom Kippur and there was no shul. It was all burnt. The whole house. And during the night, the fire löschers came, the firewehr came, and out, finished. It was inside all burned. We had upstairs for women and downstairs for the men. It was all burned. Some servitors were. We had our own home, and with this own home, he had Shabbosim later, he could have a shul in his house. But this day...
Your family had a Sefer Torah of its own and the home,
yeah.
so you can use it as a shul.
Yeah, this was, yeah, my father liked to have all that home.
Did the people know the cause of the fire?
People said we had candles on and it must have burned. We never know. But my father said it's something in the making. But we were not touched at all before.
You mentioned, again off camera, we'll talk now about what happens next for your family. Your father, your husband and brothers are in Poland. You're a young mother.
Yeah.
What happens next? Where do you go? Do you stay and wait? When did you leave Hamburg? What happened?
That was October 38 and January 1939. A police came to me and said to me a week before, Mrs. Wendum, you and your daughter and your mother don't stay in the house. They have you on the books now. They want to see all your books and the business, and they will come and they will take you first away. I said, how can they take me away? I have a baby. I said, don't ask questions. Go away. You have anybody living from your family, go to them.
Let me stop you right there.
Yeah.
You said just now that a policeman, that means a German policeman, came to warn you?
Yeah.
Did he know your family before?
Oh, yeah, we know every policeman in our district, sure. They knew us, they knew us.
Was he an older man?
The policemen?
Yes.
The German police, they were all nice. Our neighbors, they came to us, you have enough to eat, your husband is away, your family is away. They bought us eggs and butter and everything, the whole street.
Non-Jewish neighbors, your Christian neighbors?
All Christian neighbors, all Christian neighbors.
So the warning that you received from this policeman was that your business for sure was going to be taken over. They wanted to evaluate
Yes,
what the business was worth.
And until they will have an excuse and they will take you in and leave the baby maybe by your mother. You go away. That's what I can tell you, and do what you want.
So it was around, he came to give you the warning after New Year's?
No.
Or during Christmas?
2 weeks before New Year's, yeah. And I had a sister in Köln with children, and we packed, but our maid didn't know. We didn't want to tell her that we're going, and because she was already on their side too. She was 15 years in our house, but she said to us, she likes us very much, and she had it very good for us, but she's afraid for the youth, the young brown shirts, when they see her. Maybe she had also a warning she should watch us. This she didn't tell. So Mama and my baby and me, we went, we took little things with us, and we went away, left everything she shouldn't think we're going when we said we're going shopping. And we never went back in the house. Nothing in our hands. A few marks I had, whatever I had in the house. And I went right to Köln, and there I said to my sister, she's 10 years older, what should I do? She said, okay, you look and you go, your husband is from Belgium, you have your father-in-law there, you have all this family there, try to get over. So there was a woman, she said to me she wants to go with me. And she will...
This was a woman in Cologne? Or someone
no,
from
also
Hamburg?
from Hamburg. She was also in Cologne. She won. Everybody, mostly, we knew already that in Cologne they have smugglers to go over. We knew that already. So that's why we went there. But my daughter that is a story I don't know. I must tell it to my great-grandchildren. My mother was home in Köln by my sister. She was sleeping in a bed. It was a day in the morning, and I said in the evening, keep the baby. When I smuggle over to Belgium, when I am in Belgium, I will send somebody and take my baby. She was then a year. She just waddled around. So my mother said, yeah, okay. In the morning at 6 o'clock, I walk in to say goodbye. My mother started to cry, and she said, listen, I couldn't sleep the whole night. Why should I have your baby and you go alone? Maybe there will be a time when you cannot send anybody. What should I do with the baby? My husband is in Poland, and I am here with her, and I don't want. So I started also to cry. I said, no, in the last minute, and I want to go with the woman. What should I do? But Hashem showed me the way. If I wouldn't take her, I would never have children. She's my only child. Can you imagine? My mother said, you can be angry at me, but take your baby with you. You will never regret it. I don't know what will be with me. I took her, I put her in diapers, and I took my carriage and have warm things. Took another half hour till I put everything together. I knew I cannot have more than 10 mark over the border.
This was still winter time, yes?
This was winter time, January, yeah.
You were warned
In
2 weeks
2 weeks.
before the New Year, and this whole thing transpired already before New Year's.
Fast, very fast. So I took my baby, put her in the carriage, and the carriage was collapsible, and I went with that woman. The woman was very angry that I took her, and I said, maybe Hashem shows us awake, maybe because of the baby we can't go. We went into the train. The train went to Holland. It's a Holland train. And the Nazis came in with uniforms, and I said, passport, passport, passport. Didn't have nothing.
You had no papers?
I had a Polish pass. I had a Polish pass, and I showed to him, and I said, please, don't take me down. He said, no, you have to go to the border here, you have to go down. And we came down, I took her with me, with the carriage. They helped me, they were very nice. They helped me with the carriage, they helped me everything. And the woman also, they took us in a room, and they tapped us at whatever we have, and her extra, me extra. So I saw Germans sitting there. They were Nazis, but they were not the SS. They were working there. I begged them, I pleaded with them they should let me go, and he said, you can, we have to go back to Germany. They wanted us to wait for the next train to go back. Finally, I was talking to somebody there, and he got pity, and he played with her. And then he said, you know what, wait a minute, there's another door going to Belgium side, and this goes to Aachen, German side. We will open the door for you. Hmm? The woman heard that, and she went right with me. They let us out. They opened the door. The snow was so high till here. When I went out on the street, not on the street, it was woods in the back, and I put the carriage, the baby was in, I pushed her out, and suddenly she was lost. She was in the snow until here. I didn't know what to do. I cried. So the men came out and helped me to take out the baby, and I schlepped the carriage. There was a big hotel. He said, go in this big hotel. So I went in this hotel, and we stayed there. The hotel, they saw already refugees. They knew what happened, and of course, with the baby, they took my baby, and they gave her to drink, and they had Rachmanis. That was my luck.
So you were in
Belgium,
the Belgium side.
But on the side, until to come to Brussels, it's another hour. And I had no money and no way to come to Brussels. But at least I was there. So the owner of the hotel, I don't know the hotel, I had nothing. There was a skier place, and she took 2 young men, and she said, help that people. Go with them inside, with your car. And they took us, and they went more inside.
They drove you further into the country.
To the country. There we were staying also in a hotel. She also saw already who we were. And she became sick, she became fever, didn't know what to do. Finally, after 2 days, I called to Brussels to my brother-in-law. I was even afraid to talk, that they shouldn't catch me.
Right.
He said to me, take any man, whatever they want, money, I pay them, they should bring you and the baby. Yeah, the woman went away right away. She knew already, her husband was someplace, I don't know. I lost her completely, but she was safe. I was alone with her. So after a few days, the woman had a man, a smuggler, and we told him what my brother-in-law said, and he took us. But the going there was also terrible. In the night we had to go at 12 o'clock, and they lighted in, and I had to mask her. She shouldn't cry. They shouldn't be alert that we are refugees. Then they sent us right back.
You were sure that they would send you back?
That was everybody came back. Every day people came back. Every day.
So even though you were not in a quote-unquote free country, you would be more concerned because they would send you back to Germany.
Yeah, sure. The Belgian gendarmes, they were terrible. They looked all over. When the car get through, they lighted inside, and they wanted to know everything. Our car, they made big skiers on each side that we went skiing. So we went and we came there, and that's it. We went to Brussels. My husband's brother was there. They lived there. They are Belgian people. They took us in, and they gave us everything.
Now this was already New Year's, after New Year's?
Yes, it was the 5th of January.
January 1939.
1939, yeah. Then I got a letter, somebody got a letter, I don't know. I knew that then he was still in Spongin. But later he came to Hamburg, and my brother tried to get him through to Belgium to us, but it didn't happen good. They catched him. And 5 people.
Which side? In Belgium or the Germans?
Germans. On the border. They wanted to go over water, and they catched him in the night. And back he went. And they wanted to put him in the concentration camp right away. But my brother knew about it. He found out from the smugglers, and he took him back. And the second time he went, and it was good.
So he went into Germany?
They lived. He was in Hamburg. My brother was from Spongin. He went with my husband to Hamburg, made his papers, and saw to it that my husband should come to Belgium.
Now, did your husband stay at your home?
No, friends took them in. You know, they were German Jews a lot. They didn't know where to go. And they opened the door for everybody. They helped us very much. The night when they came, 1938 in October, to Spongin, They bought everything to the train, food and everything, because they were free. And the Germans were free, they had their passport and everything. They went and they bought food for all the people in the police station. Dr. Karlbach arranged everything. We never know. I would never go back.
So your brother-in-law succeeded in bringing your husband and your brother?
No,
just your
my brother was free. And he said to my husband, Jack, the next trip you go, and he didn't want to go. I said, you can't stay here, and I don't want you to go to Poland back. So let's try again. What can happen? Second time, he paid again, and he went, and it came good out. He came to Belgium.
So you had a new life?
Yeah, but he came not 39, he came in 40.
If we can, let's go back then to September 1st, 1939. You were in Belgium with your daughter. When did you hear that the war broke out? Do you remember? Was there a radio in the house? Did someone come into the house and tell you? How did you learn that World War II began?
Papers, newspapers.
Was there a radio in the home? Did people...
In Belgium?
Yeah, in your family's home in Belgium. Was there a radio?
Of course.
Did they listen to the news?
Of course.
BBC?
Back today, yeah, everything, yeah. Belgium was free. Belgium, yeah, we got everything. We know every minute, all the phones and everything we had.
Were you able, in the months that you were separated from your husband, when he was in Hamburg and you were in Brussels, were you able to speak ever on the phone?
No, I remember he didn't go away in the beginning. He must have come 4 weeks before the war broke out to Hamburg. It must have been in September, late in 1939. They were in Spongine maybe 9 months.
So this was certainly before World War II began,
Yes,
a few months before.
Of course.
But you and your husband were reunited after the Second World War began, but before Belgium was invaded.
Yes.
Okay.
That is it.
After World War II began, in a sense for you, you had some good news because your husband and your brother were able to come to join you in Belgium. Before the Germans invaded, what was your life like when you finally reunited? What did your husband do in Belgium? What kind of job did he have?
He couldn't work. But let me tell you something. You say World War II. To us, World War II started when the Americans came, 1941, right?
December 1941.
41.
Tell us about your daily life when your husband came over. You said he couldn't work. Why was that? Why couldn't he work in Belgium?
No immigrants can work in another country. And this time was even worse. We couldn't make a penny. So his brothers kept us. In Brussels, he had one brother, and he had a brother in Antwerp in the diamond business. And from Brussels, I was 2 months, then we went to Antwerp.
During these few months when it was such a difficult time,
They took us like children in, and we didn't have to do nothing.
was there any discussion again of trying to go somewhere else?
No, there was no way to go. We did not have the opportunity to go. I went to the consul, and the American consul, and he said, no, you have to wait. You have to wait, you have to wait. There were lines and lines, and there was no, and everybody said they will never come to Belgium, don't worry, we live from one day to the other, never will happen, never will happen. You don't think on it. Never will happen. So we went, my husband came, and the brothers gave us to live, and we lived like immigrants in one room, and you know. That was very bad. One morning we got up and the Germans were flying over Belgium, 1, 2, 3. So everybody was running away. They said, one said to the other, let's go to France. They're in Belgium, they wouldn't come to France. So we ran to France. How do we run to France? We didn't have any cars or nothing. And the thousands people were going with children, with little packages. They walked, they walked, they walked, until Calais. There were boats, they said, and they will all take us on the boats, immigrants, and they will bring us to London at least. So that was our main thing. It never happened. We walked and they fight in the air, France, Belgium, all they fight and we walked on they didn't do nothing to us. In fact, I had my father-in-law, an Altaid of over 70 years with a weiße Bart, and they saw us and they never touched or asked us. We walked, we slept in, how do you call that, where the horses are? Where the horses are?
The stables.
The stables.
Your
And we
daughter
went from
was
house.
3 years old,
No,
2.5
my
years
daughter
old?
was only 2 years. I had to carry her, and whenever I came to a house, they brought out water and everything for her. Oh, petit bébé, and low and short, no French, only French. There's for the French thing. We went 8 days. We never came further. We went for one. We were terrible.
How many people in this group marching from one location to the next?
There was a few hundred.
Only Jews?
Only Jews. The Goy, they didn't have to go away. They waited. Only the Jews. And not all the Jews went, but most of the Jews went.
And at the end of the 8 days, where were you?
We were somewhere in France and underground, but we never went to camp or to Calais. So my father-in-law couldn't go anymore. We saw already it's not good. So we turned around. We said, whatever will be, come, let's go to Antwerp again. So we went back to Antwerp.
When you left Belgium, initially you left Brussels to Antwerp, or when the war broke out, you were in Antwerp?
I was in Antwerp. We were
with the
all
other
in Antwerp
brother.
with my husband and my child, yeah.
And you walked for 8 days, you actually crossed the border into France, or near the border.
Near the border, yeah, near the border.
How many other people turned back? Do you remember?
A few hundred went back, and a few hundred went to the boat. All the people who didn't have an old man or a baby, they went faster. They came, they went to Spain and to all over. My family in Brussels and Antwerp didn't even know of us. They didn't know where we disappeared overnight. We didn't ask them because we were the aliens. We wanted to go away.
Well, when you walked back to Brussels, did you pass scenes of what happened from the military, from the bombings?
No, we saw only the military came in. They marched in, and the 8 days, they bombed us too. We were on fields, on flat fields, and there was a little house, like a kiosk, with such small thing. And when the bombs fell, oh, how many people were dead, and I had her in my arms, and I pressed myself against that kiosk. Where was my husband? I don't remember him, but I wanted to. When the bomb comes at us, I want that she should be alive. It was wrong, of course, but Hashem helped us. We saw people laying around us, terrible.
So when you returned, after they controlled Belgium, the German army was in different places, no one interfered with a few refugees going back to Brussels?
No, on the way, no. They let us go back.
What happens next? You're back in Brussels, the Germans have occupied Belgium.
Then,
what happens to your life at this stage?
Then, a few weeks later, came out, all the refugees have to be together. They go all to Poland in the concentration camps. So,
how did you get this news? Was it put up on posters?
We were always together with all the immigrants. We went to eat with the immigrants, like a big kitchen. Big kitchen.
Who fed the immigrants? Who gave the food?
The community of the Jewish community in Antwerp.
And you had a sign?
They were very rich.
You had a sign up, each family, the names?
When we came there, what did you call that? When you come and, like the welfare, you go and you sign up, and they give us every day at from 12 to 2, you can come in and have your hot meal, that's all. We very seldom went because we had our family, but we were written down there. The Jewish community, they made every decision for us also. They knew everything, and they told us, look, you have to go away, look, you have to do this, you have to do that. They were involved with them. Antwerp and Brussels, they did a lot, the Jewish community, but they couldn't help enough. They could live whatever they did. They never were touched, until one day. And we had to register when we came, and they had our names and everything, so they called us, they came to us, and they said, tomorrow morning, you have to be there and there, and you're coming, you should go to Poland, but the minister doesn't let you go in the meantime, so they sent you in small, not in small towns, in farms, on farms, in Diepenbeck, it's called Diepenbeck. I remember I packed up whatever I could and I had, and we went in the morning, and there was a big train, and that took us. There were a few hundred people. But
Were these mostly refugees?
Only refugees. Only German refugees.
And how long did the train, you took a train ride, also a normal train?
Normal train, yeah, regular train, good trains. Yeah.
And took you to
a farm
area?
An hour, but we could never go away from the farm because I had always registered our name there, and the people took care of us. There were a lot of religious institutions there, and they came, they looked for us, and they brought us bread and everything. They had Rachmanis, they brought us in. And
religious institutions?
Goyish churches, yeah, they wanted to have her. They wanted to adopt her. She was a very pretty child, and they said they would like to have her in the church, and I can go as a free person with my husband wherever I want. Every day they came.
Did you consider it?
Never. Never.
Why not?
I would not.
It was a free ticket.
Yeah, not for me. Church? No, not for me. Yes, at the end we had. They sent us books to read, and they said it would be okay. They sent us packages, yeah, they could. They could, yeah.
Your husband and yourself, you had all of these hours and days and weeks.
My husband was sitting and learning, and I was doing things.
What did you talk about, though, between the two of you? Did you try to give each other hope, afraid to talk about it?
Yeah, we all said we heard what the war is, and we, with other people, we went together, and we talked. That will be end. It has to be one end. So long as we are not in Poland, so long as they leave us here, thank God for it. Every day we had news. There were always people around, even in concentration. There were always people around, they knew everything.
Did you hear rumors about what the Nazis were doing to the people in Poland?
No.
This you did not hear?
No. Rumors we never heard, and we never knew that there's a concentration camp where they killed. We never heard that. No. If somebody told, oh, who knows what old people they would let work, it's not possible. But then we said, this is advertisement only. I don't believe that they kill. Germans should kill, they're so educated. It's not possible. That was always in our mind. They were so good to us. Suddenly, a few months later, they said we should come back to Antwerp. We went to our house, to our apartment, one room in the kitchen we had, and I had the keys, and I opened up, and I came in, and my family came and brought us whatever we needed. And then they said, now we should go in hiding. Now they have all your names and everything. Now it's not good. So I went around, and I looked for a hiding place for my husband, for my daughter, and me. And there was also another family came from Berlin. That was 1941 already. And she saw me, and somebody introduced us, and she cried. She couldn't speak a word French. And you are here already 2 years, you know already. I should take them with also a man and a woman and a daughter.
When you said that they told you now is the time to hide because everybody is in one place, they have your names now and addresses, who told you?
People, I don't remember who.
People in the Jewish community?
Yeah, because they went already hiding. When we came home from Diepenberg, there were a lot of German people that didn't go to this. They were hiding when it came to go. I didn't have Segel to hide. So they were hiding, and then when I came back, I heard that they are really in hiding. They went to other cities, they went to very far away, in Belgium. I went all over, I wanted an apartment. And Hashem sent me to somebody who had big houses. And I said, maybe you have an apartment for me. not so much money, me, my husband, and my daughter. He said he has, and that I know the address, Richard van der Velde, 66. He has a big house with 5 flights, but no elevator, nothing. And if you want, you can have the last apartment upstairs, and I give it you very cheap.
Now, this was in a non-Jewish area.
Yeah.
And the person you spoke to knew that you were Jewish.
He never said. I never told him.
You never told, he never said.
I spoke French to him, and he answered me, and that was it. And then when he said he has 2 apartments, if I know people, I said, I know, I sure have another family. So we both, she 1 daughter, me 1 daughter, so the daughter was 2 years older. So we took this apartment and we went all the way up, and nobody in the house knew what's what. We didn't have light or electricity or anything for weeks. We were afraid to open up something. The outside shouldn't say that people lived there. The house was occupied, but not all. I could go out, I tell you. I wore a wig when I married. That was very seldom in Germany. Nobody, we were Chassidim, my father. So I took off the wig. I was black, I had black hair, and I made myself blonde. And I was young, about 27, 28 years old, and I went and I bought whatever I could. We had underground Belgium people, which the Jewish community gave them our name. And they came to us and gave us money and gave us tickets to buy. It was all ration.
Coupons.
Coupons, and we had to buy. We could buy with this. So I went out, and the other lady from Berlin, she also my age, she was also, didn't look Jewish. She also went out for her family. Then my husband had a sister in Belgium, and a 14-year-old girl. She was hiding with us together. Vegetables, everything, only not meat. I bought fish. There were fish, rations, fish. We went down and he gave us always more fish, you know, herring, raw herring. And I went upstairs and I baked it with water, not oil. We didn't have oil.
So no meat for the whole war?
Oh, no.
Impossible?
No, no, no.
Question, your husband, Hasidic Jew?
He was mother, I mean, from, like a young Israel, but more from than young Israel.
But could he pass for being a native of Belgium if he went out in the street?
No, he never went out. Once we went into this house and into this apartment, was upstairs in this apartment, he never walked out from there.
For how long?
We were living there, I guess, 3 years, 4 years, yeah.
And he never left?
No, no.
Did you take your daughter out for walks during the day?
My daughter was by herself. She went downstairs and played with children, with goyim and everything.
Did you give her any orders about how to behave with other children? Did she say that she was Jewish? Did she ever bring it up?
No, that she knew she cannot say, no. And
how did you explain that to her?
She knew that they want us. And she was afraid that they will take away her parents. She was always in that when she got up in the morning, she looked around if we are still here. And she was brought up with this fear, and the fear is still in her.
And the girl who was in another apartment?
The next one, she was...
were they friends, even though she was older?
Very friends. She was only 2 years older. My daughter was 3 then, and she was 5. They were always together, yeah. And in fact, I had friends that came up to us once in a while. We had connection with people, also Jewish from people. In fact, we made a sukkah. Not a sukkah, we opened up a little. It was raining down anyhow, we cut out a little piece on sukkahs. They came just to make the brucha there. They came to our house, you know. We lived 3 years
because you were
like
in the top,
the Moranos.
You were in the top floor,
yeah.
So you made a sukkah out of part of the whole.
Yeah.
That's,
just he cut out a piece and put something over so you could make.
Did you have matzah for Pesach?
No. What did we have? No, I don't think we had matzah. We had wine, we had tea, and the tea wasn't tea. We took carrots and we grated the carrots and dried it, and that was our tea.
And Hanukkah?
We didn't know nothing from Hanukkah. I don't know if we could.
So
Yeah, my friends came with candles, yeah, we, together, 3, 4 families, they were, made the candles, yeah. My husband made the broche, yeah. That we made, Jewish holidays we kept.
did you have any situations on the street where you thought that you would be caught when you were in this apartment?
Yeah, if somebody looked at me, a man was across the street, he saw a woman walking by and he made like this or anything, my heart went down. I lost myself and I couldn't get back in my house then. I walked until, or when I wanted something to eat, I had to go very far for a little bit of potatoes. I had a diamond ring, my engagement ring. My husband wasn't a diamond, that was a big one. So I gave her the ring, and then had more money, and she promised me 2 sacks of potatoes. So every time I went to her, I was 15 minutes away to walk to her. I went, there was a park on one side and the other side. I went always in the shadow side. I was afraid. I talked to God, let me have sun, let me have a life like the Goyim here, they go and they go. But I guess it helped. But in this park, they were hiding some brown shirts. And they took the people from there. They came right up, I saw them.
These were Belgian Nazis or from Germany?
Yeah, they were Belgium, yeah. They called the Wallonen.
Yes,
the Wallonen. They helped them very much. Yeah. And in our house on the 2nd floor was a man and a woman and 2 small children. They saw already how we looked, that's something wrong. And he asked us plain. And we said, if you ask us already and we live upstairs, you never saw us downstairs, you never saw my husband. He said he wants to help us. We should just tell him and he brings us whatever we want. And he did for 2 full years. Then, on the end, 1944, in June, there were big placards in all the streets for every Jewish head, $100 or whatever. So this, he didn't have enough money. This was good for him. He counted up, he has 3 us, 3 the others is 6, and 2 my sister-in-law is 8 people. He has so much money. So in the end, and we were hiding and we went through sicknesses. I went to the doctor and when I went to a bus, I was praying nobody should come to the bus and show the custody entity, the papers. I had Goyish papers, but in a moment like this, you forget the name already. You are not used to the name. And then they take every bus, every 3rd bus, they took Jewish people down. People had to go to live every day, and we heard. Neighbors came, oh, there was a bus with 4 people they took, and there was this. Across the street we saw, in the night we looked out, a whole family with 12 people they took. We heard every day they rounded up people, they sent them. Our camp was in Malines it called, Malines in French. They took all the people there, and they had 700 people. They put the trains into Malines, and they took all the people. They said, pack your things and give the valises to us. We will bring them, and you go in the. But this was not a regular train. It was the cow train, the cattle. Yeah. But they said, these people we take, they're going to work. So we didn't want to think on bad things. And when we heard, oh, they kill people, I said, this is propaganda. They want it for London, for England, for America.
You didn't have a radio in your apartment?
I don't think so.
So
my friends, I think my friends had.
They did listen.
Yeah,
so
but the radio, you didn't hear on the radio. You had to have a BBC or something special. And my friends next door, he had a lot of friends also, where we communicated with friends during the evening, in the nighttime we went, and people, they risked their life to come. I had people around our corner, 2 blocks away. There was a big hospital in the Belgium hospital, I forgot the name. And there was a man from Berlin, Mr. Kaufmann. His wife went out for bread, and she never came back home to him. And we were davening always before together, I know the people, and she was so sick, she didn't want to tell where she lives, so they took her away. And he came to the hospital and they told me about him. So I knew he eats only kosher. And I had potatoes. I gave my ring for potatoes for 2 sacks. I scrubbed the potatoes and in water I baked them, latkes, and I brought it to him. To going to him, I could only go Sunday morning when they were busy, when the Nazis were busy with themselves. I went and I brought him this. And he gave me broches, I think because of him. I risked a lot. My husband was crying, I shouldn't do it. But I said, Hashem gives us, we are free here. At least we are free. He is in the hospital. He has nobody. He has a son who knows where he is. He has nobody. And I came every week to him. And when I couldn't come anymore, when it was too late, and they trapped us, so he thought when I came home from Berlin, we came home, he said to me, Mrs. Wendum, you only live because of me. He cried 2 days when he saw us, because what we did to him. Then I didn't have any, I don't know where he was then. We were all busy with ourselves. But
did he survive the war?
Yeah. His son came and picked him up, yeah.
What happened in 44? Your neighbors needed the money, wanted the money?
He must have told.
Was
One
involved
night,
in a trap.
Yeah. 3 months before, people were taken from the other house across, and I saw the whole night. The next day...
This was 1943, late 1943?
She was already in... My daughter went already to Goyim to live a short time.
When was that?
That was 1943. Yes.
She was then...
The underground came to us and they said, give your child away. She was then 5 years old. Give her away, but it's not good. If they pick on you, you go to work, you come back, but not the child. So we gave her away. The underground gave them away to farms. They were farm people. They took in 4 or 5 children in a house. They did it with her. They took her.
With other children, was she alone?
But this family, she was alone. They had their own 3 children. They took her. And one day, and my niece was 14 years old, a petite blonde, a chickse. She looked wonderful and spoke prima French. She went to her to visit her. I was afraid. She came home one day and she said, you know, the woman told me, yesterday came 2 women with 2 children. They wanted to place the children. They wanted to go to work for the Germans. But I told them I don't take them in. So they said to me, why? You have other children here. She said, I don't know from other children. And then they said, you will pay for it. And they went away. So she told that to my niece. My niece said, and the woman said, don't have to worry about it. Would nothing be. Around there were 12 Jewish children. Around, for 12 families, 12 Jewish children. And when my niece came home and she told me this, I couldn't sleep the whole night. And everybody said to me, this was only a trick from the woman. They wouldn't do nothing. I said, never mind, I want the child home. But the woman didn't want to give her home because she got every week money for her. I said to my niece, go and bring her home and tell her just for one day, because she always cried when she went away. And next day you bring her back. So the woman said, for one day I give it to you home. So she came home, and sure enough, 2 days later, we heard already all over 12 children. They came with a camion, they took the 12 children away, and they never came back. No?
Incredible.
Then she was home. She didn't go away. I was afraid to give her away. Then they took right and left people, so we saw already schon zu Ende. So the people said there is a convent and they want to take children. My neighbor gave her daughter in the convent, and I was crying. I didn't like that, but I had to. A very elegant woman came to me on a Sunday afternoon and she said, listen.
This was late 1943.
That was late 1943, yeah. She said to me, give me your child, I bring it. Today is Sunday, and Wednesday we bring her to the nun home, and she will be there, and you don't have to be afraid because I will come and visit her. She looked at her, and she liked her, and she said she'd take her home. She took her home, but the going away was terrible. When she went down, the whole house was, she cried, and the whole house was looking, but if we hit her. It was very bad. But she went on the street, she lay flat down, and the woman didn't know what to do. She didn't want to come back. But finally she went to her, and she was there till Wednesday. And when I knew she's Wednesday. Sunday, suddenly a woman comes to my door. She was like Forest Hill, very far away from us, a half hour. She came in and she said, listen, we kept your daughter. We didn't send her away. They have no children. Her husband fell in love with her. She knew with 3-4 years how to eat, how to behave. She took a broom.
She wasn't just a little kid.
She was not a little kid.
She was a whole person.
And her husband fell in love with her, and they will keep her, and they will say it's her sister's daughter, and she is here. They kept her for a long time. It was more than a year. It must have been more before 43. Must have been 42. Already. She was very long there. They took her to church with Catholic people. They were very good to her, and they allowed me even to come. When I came, it was not good, but I wanted to see her.
And their names?
WENDUM, they are not alive anymore. He died right after the war, heart attack. She said that when we came back and took her, that hurted him very much.
What happened when they finally came to your apartment?
Yeah.
Who came? The Belgian police? Were they the Gestapo?
No, Gestapo came up with revolvers at 3 o'clock in the night. Me and my husband were sleeping. And he said, pack and come mit. And they left the door open. And my door and my neighbor's door was 1-on-1. So I said, okay, but I wanted to warn the other people next door. So I hacked them. I ran in the bedroom and I said, Heuler. I don't know, but never, they saw already what happened. They couldn't go away because on the 5th floor you can spring down. So my husband says, can I take this? Can I take my children? Yeah, take. So I pleaded with them. They should let us go. But he said to me, look, we have the order. If we come home without you, then we are dead. They were the regular Nazis.
Were these young people?
Young people, SS, German, they spoke German. I spoke with them German and I said, let me go. They couldn't. Take whatever you can, take everything. So we packed and we went.
You went
took us first.
You walked or into a car?
We went downstairs. There was a big car. It was in the night, dark. Nobody heard, nobody saw. And we went into the car and they took us to Gestapo headquarters. And we came to the Gestapo headquarters. There was a room, an 8 of this room. We were in there, my sister, my husband and me. Thank God the child wasn't with us. And a half hour later, the door opens and my neighbors came in with my sister-in-law and her daughter, and everybody was in the room. That was terrible. My sister-in-law is asthmatic. She went right on the floor and she passed out. And they called a doctor. And the doctor was a Jewish doctor with a yellow band. And he looked at me and said, I know you. We were learning in Hamburg by Rabbi Jacobson, a Shia on Shabbos. And this doctor was a friend of mine. He said, oi, maybe I can take you out. So I said to him, yes, I would like to, but my husband, no, I can only take one. My sister-in-law was smart, she heard that. She was laying on the floor, she kept my feet, and she says, Frieda, please, my husband is in London, my children are out, let me get out to the hospital. I was torn. Here I had my child, and he said to me, the doctor said, you have a child outside? You don't belong here, you go out. Didn't know what to do. And my husband said, oh, she's so older, she's already 45, and you are so young, you can work, let my sister go. And the doctor made always with his head no. And I looked away with tears in my eyes and said, let her go, she's old and she's sick. I let her go out, they took her to the hospital, and she left her 14-year-old daughter with us. We should take care of her. That was it.
Did she survive the war?
Yeah, she's in France, not a daughter. Yeah, my sister-in-law, yeah, she survived.
And the doctor?
The doctor I never saw. No, he did not survive. Halberstadt, Dr. Halberstadt. We were friends from I didn't know, I didn't recognize him, but also great. And the other people, from the cellar, we were there 2 days in the cellar, in the Gestapo headquarters. They took us to Marlene in the big camp. When we came there were a few hundred people there already. They told us, until there are 700 people, don't worry, you stay here.
Quick question. In the cellar, were you interrogated?
No, they didn't ask us nothing.
Did they
we were just Jewish. No, they didn't want to know anything. When we were Jewish, that was all. That was our stamp.
Did they feed you?
They gave us something to drink, yeah, the 2 days. We had only to drink.
They're waiting for the quota of 700 people in the camp.
Yeah, but they
What
were
happened?
ready. But in the Gestapo camp, it was torturous for us because we heard the Goyim, the Belgian Goyim, they tortured him so badly in the cell, and we heard this crying always that made us shook, you know. And when we came out there already, we were going with a camion that took a open camion, and we were 10 people in this, and we saw people going in the street, and we said, oh God, baby, where are we going? We can't say nothing, we can't tell them nothing. And they didn't know where we went. That is a terrible feeling for a person, to be in a truck, in an open truck, and see people going around, and here we're going, we don't know where. But we were always under the impression we're going to work. We wanted to work. I mean, work is nothing.
You were told that until 700 people reached a quota, you wouldn't be moved out from there to Auschwitz.
Auschwitz, right, Auschwitz.
But this is already 1944.
That was June 1944.
June 1944, just about the time of the invasion, not so far away.
They
in
started
Normandy.
already. We knew they started already, but it could take a long time. They started already, we knew. And when we came to this camp, downstairs was full with young people, boys and girls. They said they were traitors. I mean, Jewish people. They said they were traitors. They were in special cells downstairs. We knew everything. And upstairs, we were all few hundred people together in a big place. And
Who
were
guarded
sleeping.
this camp? Who were the guards?
Nazis.
Not, they were
Germans, all German.
Only
SS,
Germans
German SS. That was all Germans.
now? Now,
yeah.
you said there were two sections. There were individuals in cells, like below?
Yes, yes.
That
They were politicians from the politics. They took them. Jews, mostly Jews, yeah.
So they were there for
they said they were
special,
traitors, yeah.
special treatment.
Yeah.
Were there any non-Jewish Belgian anti-Nazis there
Yes,
too?
yes. Yeah,
In the cells?
In the cells, yes. Also, yeah, yeah.
And what kind of rations did you receive? What kind of food?
I remember only there was a big soup, cabbage soup with bones in it. My husband didn't want to eat it the first week. We told him it has to be. So he ate. We were 4 weeks we were there.
Did he have any Sfarim, any books with him? At
Yes,
this point?
no, they didn't, no, nothing. He had the Swarm and Talis and Twill and everything. 1 or 2 Swarm he had with him, with Talis and Twill, but his all things, nothing. And in the camp, he was so busy with people talking, he just like Twill in the morning, and that was all.
How was his health?
He was young, he was good. You know, let me tell you, in a condition like every Jewish people were, nobody was sick. Anybody was sick died. But we didn't have time to go to a doctor, nothing, heard it and nothing. And we came down from the camion and in this camp, they took us, like interrogation, they took us apart. We had to undress and they did dress, and looked all over for diamonds or whatever we had. And we went in, one after the other. We were 8 people together then when we went in. 7. His sister-in-law was already in the hospital. And then we went out, we had to go upstairs, and we lived there. We had to live there. If we wanted it or not, we had to eat what they gave us and do what we done. This was for 4 weeks. But we knew every day how far the Americans are because people told us. I don't know where they are.
What happened on the day you were liberated? Who liberated you?
It was something that's a capital for themselves. We were told Thursday night, Friday morning, we have to be downstairs, all of us, and all our valises, what we have to put on the side, And the trains, we saw the trains rolling in already. Cattle trains were rolling in. We knew already. They gave us a number. I think my number was 46. I'm not too sure. That was the number, and no name, nothing, just a number. And we should wait tomorrow morning. But the whole night, people came and told us we were laying in straw. They told us there is movement downstairs, and it seems as the Gestapo runs that take meat and everything, put it in barrels and close it and take it with them. So that was already fine. And when we got Friday morning up, we heard already there was nobody there already. But then they had cannons in the big yards, and they pointed to us up. And then they told us, lay down flat. When the last one is going out, they open up and it shoots everything. But we were laying for hours there, for 2-3 hours, and suddenly it was quiet. And somebody screamed, the military are here. A general came into the big yard downstairs with a lot of soldiers around. They said, come all out, nothing will happen to you. You are free people. We are not doing anything. We have only to go after the people who, the SS. The Nazis went away, but they have to be careful that somebody else shouldn't kill them, so they have to reinforce them. Not that nothing.
These were German troops now,
German,
not regular
Wehrmacht.
army.
No,
Wehrmacht.
with big signs and everything. He opened up and he said, down, and there's a one man said, can I daven minche, or Maariv, or whatever it was in the afternoon, maybe Friday afternoon. He said, you do what you want, you are free. He opened up all the gates, you can go where you want. So everyone around, and a lot of people fell and fainted and cried. My husband davened there something, I remember hearing him. And then we went out on the street, and all the goyim kissed us and held us and said, we knew that you were in. They threw sometimes bread in over everything. Then somebody took us in, and we slept a night there, and then we walked to Antwerp, day to day. We walked 2 days, I think.
Did you meet on the way American troops going?
Yes, they gave us everything, yeah. They kissed us and they said, we are free. That was in June 44, August. It must have been in August.
August 1944.
44. We went home, and we came home. Our apartment was empty. They took everything out. They let us in. And the people who lived second floor, who told the Nazis about us, who got the money, they weren't living anymore there, and all the neighbors came to us and they said, we knew that you were Jewish and we wanted to keep it. They bought us milk, even when we were hiding and everything. And he is not allowed to come back. We will finish him up. So with him, we never saw him again. So we went upstairs and people brought us in chairs and everything, whatever we needed, and we stayed there. And then, Rosh Hashanah, we went to Shul. That I remember.
At Shul, and as the community came back together, did you now begin to get some of the details of what was going on in the Holocaust?
Yeah, but I still didn't think that my parents are dead or my brothers or so. I always thought they'd come back.
The end of the war was almost 10 months away.
Yeah,
World War
May,
II.
yeah.
When the war
8
was
months,
over,
yeah.
when the war was over,
The regular.
how long did you try going back to Poland or to Germany?
No.
How did you find out what happened to every member of your big family? How did you get the details?
I had a cousin, Landau, in Israel. He came to us, to Belgium, after the war. Maybe he wasn't already in Israel. He came to see us, the cousin. He taught me everything. He knew everything. He's from Poland, and he took my parents in, my brothers and sisters, and he knows after he told me that they had papers for America, no, American paper, they weren't big enough. They didn't let them in here. They wanted always more and more affidavits, more and more, until the Nazis catch them and they shot them, all of them, the brothers. And my mother was in Auschwitz in the kitchen. And they told me she helped a lot of people with food under her dresses. She bought out everything. But in the end, we don't know. That's it.
When did you come to the United States?
49.
And you were in Belgium till 1949?
Yes, yes. After the war, I had friends there and made a little living. Then they let us work already.
Let me quickly jump back to the pre-war years. Just one or two questions.
Yeah.
Your home, your parents' home, they hosted many, many great rabbis.
Yes.
Who came from Poland and Czechoslovakia.
Yes, yeah, from Vienna. Yeah.
Do you remember some of the names of some of these rabbis?
Yes, sure. I remember Rabbi Shapiro from Chachme Lublin. He came to my father in the city, and he said he wants to make the Lubliner yeshiva. So my father took his car, and he went to the biggest department stores, he and another friend, and the three worked in Hermann Tietz's, was like Macy's. He went all over, and he was so happy, and he had money, and he was a few days in our house.
Some
and
other
that
names.
I remember. The Bukowska Rebbe, but you know, this is old.
And the shul, Rabbi Karbach's synagogue.
Yeah.
The shul. Tell us a little bit of the history of the synagogue.
The history, this was made in 1500, yeah. We had a big cemetery. I read in the papers now that in Hamburg they made over this.
Restoring.
Restoring, that was ours, yeah. The biggest gedaulems in there, the biggest, because
Such as, who were
Altona
some of the
Hamburg,
names?
such as, in the moment I don't remember.
Rabbi Eibschitz?
Yes, Johannes Neibschitz, sure. The biggest, the biggest. Altona belonged to Holland, or Denmark, something, and then it was, and then later on to Hamburg. I had the Ullmans, if you heard, Ullman Jacobson, the one in Hamburg. We had Rosh Hashiva, Rabbi Rabinov. He was a Goen. He was in London during the whole war. He had no children, but he lived there. And the fate of Dr. Karlebach, we know.
And to what do you attribute your survival?
For the goods my parents did. I don't talk about me. I don't know what I did, but my parents did a lot. We sent to Poland money, whatever we could. He did. Every rabbi. My father was a big learner. And when somebody came in and he said, I am the son of this and this big rabbi. So my father used to say, that doesn't matter to me. Kim, am I learning? Let me see what you know. The whole war was mit Surim and Papa. When my father saw he's a good learner and he versteht, he gave his heart and soul over. But when he saw a faker, he turned away, he gave him money, and that was it. We were always angry with children. We didn't like that because he knows and the other one doesn't know. But that was the way of my father. But he did very, very good. As the only Polish man, he was in the Jewish Gemeinde, in the Jewish community.
Leadership
Gemeinde. He was the only one.
Thank you very much.
That's it. We survived. Thank
That's
God.
it.
Goldie Garber. I was born November 23rd, 1937. My recollections are very clear, and I work with children in my profession now, and it's hard for me to even realize that I was ever 3 or 4 years old. My recollections are so mature and so clear from, in those times of my life, that I have a complete recollection of how I felt and what I went through. And even the apartment that my mother described on the 5th floor, I can describe every nook and cranny. I remember we had an outside bathroom where the coals were. There was a box of coals, the kind of tea that she spoke about, the carrot tea, and herring coming in 10 different flavors, These were all my recollections, and fear. A lot of fear. I was ambivalent when I went to the Gentiles, because it was at that point in my life that I was told that my name was Monique, it wasn't Goldie, and I called Mr. and Mrs. Van Dam Mommy and Papi, and they were my parents. I knew my whole history. My mother had written into the hems of my clothes addresses of people in America, you know, of family in America, and she rehearsed this with me so that I should know that if anything happened to her, that I must open up the hems of my clothes, and there were... So a 4-year-old and a 5-year-old having all this information, that requires, you know, a lot of maturity and concentration.
You went down and played with the kids in the neighborhood on occasion?
I went down, and I was a child, I guess, you know, in behavior. Sometimes I didn't keep the secret too well, but most of the time I did. And that was why it was suggested that, you know, I be placed with the Gentile people. My last family were very good to me. They were really good to me, and they were hoping that my parents would never come back.
You knew that?
Well,
You sensed it? I sensed it.
I sensed it. And of course, I knew about Hashem because my parents raised me that way, and I prayed to Hashem, and thank God. My mother, you know, I don't know, towards the end, you know, she didn't mention about the reunion because she came to get me the very following day when they came back. It was, you know, she came to get me. And of
Were
course
you surprised to see her?
I was surprised, and I was thrilled because, you see, we were in touch. You know, she always, in the nighttime when it was dark, she would, whenever it was possible, she would come to see me.
Until she went to the camp?
Until she went to the camp. I recall one day when she, you know, when she couldn't come anymore, I wanted to go look for her, and Mommy, the lady, hid my shoes because I was you know, I had become very upset and rambunctious, and I wanted to follow through. So there were many flashes in my mind, you know, that where I recollect all this.
But tell me more about the reunion. We know how you felt.
Yeah.
We know how your mother felt.
Yeah.
How about Mommy and Papa?
I was very excited. Well, that was the worst. That was the worst. She was a much younger woman, and she somehow was able to manage. He cried, and he wanted me to stay. I was very torn, but on the other hand, I knew that my parents, thank God, were home, and I came home with my cross around my neck and walked into my apartment, and my father made me take it off, and there were just a lot of ambivalent feelings about my Jewishness, about my Goyish, my Gentile upbringing, and so on, you know. It just felt like I was doing something that I was supposed to do.
Part of a family,
yeah.
That's what was done.
They were good to me, they were kind, and they kept telling me that I'm not Jewish anymore, and that my parents, you know, are very far away and they won't be back, and this is a happier life for me, and that's what I began to feel. I don't remember that. I was 5, 6 years old. I don't remember if I prayed, but I remember being there. I remember getting all the things in your mouth, and all the things that, you know, were done in church. I did. Yes, after the war, we went to visit, and I guess my parents had, you know, it was hard for them too, because this represented a whole relationship. The father, my stepfather, was tremendously attached to me, and I to him. And he became ill several months after the war. He became very sick. He was in his late 60s. And sadly enough, he was on his deathbed on a Shabbos. And we had a phone at that time. This was in 1945 or 46, I don't recall the dates. And they had tried to call me, and of course we didn't pick up the phone, and he died. And she, the wife, you know, my stepmother, there was a lot of anger, because I guess she felt that we didn't appreciate all that they did for me. And that was difficult.
You were still a little kid.
Yeah.
All of this being sent your way. Did you attend the funeral?
No, we missed the funeral. It was on that day. It was a wake. It was Goyish. My father is still to this day ultra Orthodox and a bit narrow-minded, so he couldn't allow me to do that. I'm sure there was a wake, and I should have gone, and I didn't.
When was the last time you had contact with her?
About 2-3 years before we left. Once he passed away, little by little, the connection, you know, weakened, and we just didn't. I remember my mother telling me that she had tried to call her several years later, and she was gone. We
What
had
was
no more
your
connection.
What was your first recollection of war?
Sirens. And to this day, when I hear a siren, I have a panic attack.
You're in the wrong neighborhood. You should move to Los Angeles.
Really?
You hear a little bit less than East 27.
We hear it all the time,
Yeah.
and I still, my heart starts to pound, and, you know, at my age, it still haunts me. I'm very fearful
Of what?
of losing, of being away from my family, I'm very attached to my children, my husband, my grandchildren. I always need to have contact, to call, to be with them. You know, sometimes they think I'm a little too much, but that's part of my...
Do you recall, even though you were quite young, do you recall that walk to the French border?
I don't recall, but I have recollection of the trip, the walk. I remember walking with my mother. I don't remember my father so much, and my grandfather, but I remember walking with my mother with the bombs flying on top of us and walking on the ground. And I remember being held. I have recollection of that.
Do you have recollection of seeing dead people?
No. Just bombs, sirens, lights. That type of thing is very vivid in my mind. And just being afraid. I mean, I have a big problem seeing Nazi films or reading. You know, I do, but I get very, very emotional. Never again. I mean, you know, we were like cattle being led to the kill, and we can just never ever sit back and accept.
You've heard now, maybe for the first time, kind of like a flow of consciousness from your mother, and about some of the incredible decisions that she had to make along the way of taking certain kinds of risks from an objective point of view, perhaps that shouldn't have been taken, from an emotional point of view, understandable. What do you think at this stage, I mean, about everything that your mother went through in the context? You're now an adult, you have your own kids. Looking back now, she shared this now in a very open way about some of those decisions.
Well, over the years I've heard, you know, always we heard and we shared, you know, all the incidents. All I can say is that had I been in her shoes, I wished I would have had her courage and her goodness along the way. I mean, she displayed an enormous amount of belief in God, true religion, true bitachon, true emunah. And she always, somehow, whatever she decided, obviously was the right decision. And she never really thought of herself. It was always a very selfless kind of decision-making, a very selfless kind of life. And somehow or other, it worked out.
Have you been back to Belgium?
No.
Do you want to go?
Very much. Very much. I'd like to go back to Belgium. I would even like to go back to Germany, to Alton. I would love to see the house and the areas where I was born and you know, where my mother was.
Have you been to Israel?
Yes.
How do you feel when you're there? Any different?
Yes, of course.
In what way?
I feel that I'm in my country with you know, my Jewish brothers and sisters, and of course, that's the place to be.
And as far as the concerns that you have, the fears that are certainly understandable, just in your daily routine, do you find that intensified or in any way modified when you're in Israel?
No, not really, not really. I feel safe here in America, although over my, my life here, I've been frightened, but then again, it's a little bit frightening in Israel too. There's
Well, life's pretty frightening all the way around.
Exactly, exactly.
When do you think you'll be going to visit Belgium and Germany?
I would like to go within the next few years when I'm still young enough to get something out of it. My mother went back to Europe, but she couldn't go to Israel, to Germany. She had planned to go, and she just couldn't handle it. I may feel the same way. I don't have the kind of recollection that she does and the kind of experiences that she's had, but I would just like to see what was and what is. I remember the farm that my mom described where I was with the other children. I just remember eating bread and potatoes, and I remember a big dog. And it was from that point on that I'm very, very fearful of dogs, very fearful. And I remember the dog coming at me and being threatened with this dog.
How old were you when you were on that farm?
Must have been about 3 or 4 years old. But I remember going to sleep hungry, very hungry every night. And I remember wishing that I could have all the potatoes that I want. And to this day, in my 50s, I'm still very preoccupied with food, and I need a full refrigerator in my home. Otherwise, I become very, very edgy. So food has become, a security to me. But I remember the hunger. That was tough.
How many kids do you have?
I have 2 children.
How old are they?
My daughter is 31 and my son is 27. And they have families. I have 7 grandchildren. They're the best. So my husband and I have a lot to be grateful for. And it's very interesting that as I was growing up, when I came to America, I was 12 years old, and we lived in Williamsburg. I thought, in my childish way of thinking, that after all I had been through, that we'd come to America and life would be wonderful, and they lived happily ever after, which it was a tough life when we came here. I met my husband when I was 16. He comes from an American Orthodox family, generations. And growing older, I could never share these things.
Why not?
I wanted to share because in those days, in the 50s and the 60s, no one wanted to hear what we went through.
How did you get that kind of signal from the people around you?
It's over with. Don't talk about it. Let it be. I guess most Americans were very uncomfortable about what happened, and it's only recently, in the last 10 years or so, that my husband is really sharing, and that my children are asking, even my kids. And because I was sort of programmed not to discuss it, I sort of put everything on the back burner. And it's only in the last, with this, the work that you're doing and all the things that are happening when I went to Israel and Yad Vashem and so on, that everything began to...
It seems that the pre-programming about what not to say goes back to your earliest independent moments, so it's certainly understandable.
For a long time, I never spoke. When I came to America, the big thing was I went to public school, was, talk French. And that was the big thing, that I spoke French, and that, but not...
One last question. What do you want to say to your mom? What would you say to your mother? What message do you want to give to her?
I want to give her the message that I think she's a very courageous, loving mother in person. And all along the difficult life that she had, because she had no youth, she had a youth up until her 20s, and that whole part of her life was so difficult. And she did very well with what she had. And she raised a lovely family, you know, and this was all I feel through her emunah and through her, you know, unselfish
Her belief.
behavior. Yeah, her belief. And her strong belief in God, that He's there and He's gonna take care of all of us.